Every single day, we're handing over more and more of our lives to generative AI. We let it draft our emails, we let it plan our work projects, but as we give it more and more control, the real question becomes, can we actually trust it? Imagine this. You're planning the vacation of a lifetime. So you turn to this brand new state-of-the-art AI travel agent, and you just pour your heart out, your budget, your hopes for the family, that one dream you have of seeing the northern lights. You're putting it all in the hands of a machine. But can you really truly trust the answer it gives you back? Because deep inside that AI, there's what we call a black box. Yeah, it's processing your dreams, but it's also being guided by all these instructions you can't see and data you know nothing about. What if it has some kind of hidden agenda, to push you towards certain hotels? Or maybe it was trained on biased info that completely ignores what you actually need. All of a sudden, that dream vacation is being built on a foundation of secrets. To build real trust, we're going to need a map. And this is our trust framework. It's a blueprint for turning that mysterious black box into a see-through glass box. This is the journey we'll take today, and we'll keep coming back to it as we uncover each piece of the puzzle. This is where we get to the heart of the problem. It's what I call the AI trust paradox. See, we've built this unbelievably powerful tool, but all that power is completely meaningless if we're too afraid to even use it. So to solve that, we have to look inside the box. And this is just a fundamental truth of new tech. Like the source material says, if we don't have confidence in how the AI works on the inside, we're just not going to rely on what it tells us. It's really that simple. So, where do we even begin to build that confidence? Our investigation starts with clue number 1, making the AI completely see-through. Now, this isn't about some kind of magic trick. It's about using specific technology to peel back the layers and actually show us what's happening underneath. And the main tool for the job is something called Explainable AI, or XAI for short. Think of it as a whole field of science dedicated to just one thing: making an AI's thinking process understandable to people like you and me. These are kind of like our forensic tools for investigating the machine's mind. And this is what it looks like when we get to peek inside. XAI gives us a couple of different views. So on the left, that attention map, it's basically a heat map showing us precisely which words the AI really zeroed in on. See how it just lights up on family, travel, and Europe? Then over on the right, the saliency map actually scores how important each word was. Look at that spike for destinations in Europe. This confirms exactly what was driving the AI's final answer. But let's be honest, all that data is pretty useless if we can't make sense of it. And that's the final crucial step: translating all of that complex stuff into a simple, human-readable story. The AI doesn't just give you an answer, it shows its work. It explains why it chose those places, based on things like your budget, safety, and culture. It's actually having a conversation with you. Okay, so now we can see how it thinks. That's a huge step. But, transparency isn't everything. What happens when the AI isn't just thinking? What if it's confused? Or even worse, what if its thinking is fundamentally unfair? And that brings us to our second clue. We have to fight the ghosts in the machine. Now, I'm not talking about supernatural spirits. I'm talking about the subtle but really dangerous flaws that can lurk deep inside an AI's code: uncertainty and bias. Let's be really clear about these two ghosts, okay? Because they are not the same thing. Uncertainty, well, that's a knowledge problem. The AI just doesn't have enough information. It gets confused if you give it a vague prompt like, "I want an adventure." But bias? Oh, that's a fairness problem. If the AI was only trained on, say, luxury travel blogs, it won't just be confused, it'll be actively discriminatory, completely ignoring perfectly good budget options. So how do we fight these ghosts? Well, developers use a kind of three-pronged attack. First, they use de-biasing algorithms that actively try to correct for skewed data. Second, they use something called adversarial training, which is kind of like an AI stress test to find hidden weak spots. And finally, and maybe most importantly, they rely on diverse human supervision. Because let's face it, sometimes only a person can spot the kind of unfairness a machine would totally miss. But even an AI that's see-through and unbiased isn't quite enough. And that brings us to our third and final clue. And this one, it changes everything. It's not just about fixing the machine anymore. It's about changing our relationship with the machine. It's about forging a true human-AI partnership. A real partnership like this is built on three main pillars. First, you've got to have clear communication. The AI has to always identify itself and be upfront about its limits. Second, absolute user control. You decide how it works and you own your data. End of story. And third, it needs an ethical foundation. Things like fairness, privacy, and respect for intellectual property have to be coded in from day one. So let's go back to our map. We started with this blueprint that was all shrouded in shadow, remember? But now we've collected our clues. First, we made it transparent, giving ourselves a window inside. Then we went hunting for those ghosts of bias and uncertainty. And finally, we forged a true partnership built on control and ethics. With every single piece now illuminated, the path forward is crystal clear. The black box has finally become a glass box. So we have the blueprint for trust. We do. But this has all been in a controlled environment, a lab. So here's the final, lingering question. What happens when these systems get pushed to their absolute limits out in the wild, in the real world, when they face challenges we haven't even thought of yet? Well, that's a story for next time. Hare Har.